For copywriters, I will say one thing. I can say a couple things. First of all, you like writing, but it's almost more about selling than writing. You have to use the writing to do it, but your mindset has to be that of how do I persuade these people to take action on the thing that I need them to do. So if you like selling, you're in a good position. If you like journalistic writing or creative, poetic writing, you'll need a mindset shift to do this. So it's not just about writing. It's really about selling and convincing people.
This is Experts Unleashed, revealing how professionals and entrepreneurs transform experience into income while positively impacting the world. For years, Joel Irway has helped entrepreneurs develop and launch their expert-based businesses, growing them beyond 6 and even 7 figures a year. Now, a professional expert serves their community through paid training, education, or service. This podcast will help you design and execute your plan to become a 6 or 7 figure expert without a massive team. To get more information or apply now, visit theperfectexpert.com. Let's get started.
Hey experts, what's going on? Joel right here with another very special episode of Experts Unleashed, and you are going to love today's guest. You are going to love today's episode. Why are you going to love it? Because I'm excited about it, because we have a very special guest, Donnie Bryant, who's a direct response copywriter and marketing consultant. I get super jazzed up whenever I get to talk to other direct response marketers, other copywriters, because if you don't know that about me, my background is in direct response marketing and the webinar agency. And so we are going to have just a fascinating conversation about all things related to monetizing your expertise as a highly sought after copywriter. And we're going to discover the opportunities that exist with what you can really do when you are a wordsmith and you can just slay it on all sorts of different mediums and get conversions. Donnie, welcome to the show, my man.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'm as excited as you are. But, I'm not standing up, so your energy level might be a little higher than mine.
Well, so right now we are in a deep freeze where I am. And so I have to keep moving. I have to keep active. Otherwise, I'm probably literally going to just get frozen to whatever position I'm in. So, Donnie, let me give just a quick, why don't you give a quick background about who you are, what you've done. I've got some notes here that says you've generated $25 million in the financial space of copywriting over the past 3 years. Give us a little bit more background about it, build that up a little bit more. Who is Donnie Bryant? And
I am from the polar vortex. I actually grew up in North Dakota, where this sort of cold is not very rare, but I never got used to it. Since 2007, I've been writing copy. Just like most people, when I started out trying to become an expert, I was not an expert, and I took any kind of gig I could find, and just worked like a crazy person. I remember when I first started, I was working as a retail manager. I have horror stories about that, which we won't talk about today. But hating the job, not hating it, but really hating that I had to be away from my family 80 hours a week, and I wasn't making that much money. So I decided I need to figure out how to change that. Started looking into copywriting, which was providential, but at the same time, my wife knew it was going to happen. My wife is one of those people who knows everything. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. She really does. Hope she doesn't listen to this show, and she'll never let me live that down. But she said, you should do something with writing. I would work I work 10, 12 hours a day, come home, hop on a computer, try and learn something, and try to hustle up some gigs. And it took about 2 years before I started making any real money, and took about 6 years before I decided to really niche down. I was everywhere trying to make money wherever I could find it. And it seemed like when I thought I knew which niche I was trying to be in, I was wrong every time. I said, I'm on purpose working with consultants, specifically business consultants. And as soon as I did that, I started getting financial clients out of nowhere. And I tried to fight it, but it began to feel like destiny. So I surrendered about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's kind of gone from there. And like you said, it's a direct response reality. As you know, it's all about creating a response and generating, for the most part, it's generating money, generating sales. Obviously we want opt-ins to webinars and opt-ins to email lists and things like that. But ultimately we're trying to generate cash for our clients. And as you said, the wordsmithing really applies to every medium you can think of. You're really trying to sell your idea in from the stage, on a webinar, you're on your podcast, and you're not pitching, but ultimately you're selling your ideas and selling the philosophies and persuading people to pay attention to the things that will grow their business. So it's all about how you communicate those things. So what does that have to do with me? I don't know. I'm a simple guy. I've been married almost 17 years. I have 4 children, and I love writing copy. I love marketing. I love entrepreneurs.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, right? So in 2007, you said your wife knew you were going to do something or wanted you to do something with writing, right? So where were you introduced to the world of copywriting? Because for a lot of people, a lot of people don't know about copywriting. It is, they still don't know about copywriting. It is a very, very necessary skill set for any entrepreneur, any business owner. So how did you get introduced to the world of copywriting?
That's an interesting thing. My wife and I, neither of us knew what copywriting was. I grew up as an interesting side note. It's interesting to me anyway. We used to visit my grandmother all the time. When I was a kid, my grandmother had 25,000 books in her house.
Wow.
She had a floor-to-ceiling bookcase, covered the whole hallway. I grew up loving books, and I thought, I'm going to write a book one day. Maybe I'll write a lot of books. And thought I would be, I was into history, into science. So I thought I was going to write a book about coffee. This is hilarious. Thought I would get assassinated for pointing out some things that I thought I saw, probably totally fallacious, but things I thought I saw in the coffee industry. But I ultimately did not know how to monetize that. I had no clue. So I just kept working in my regular jobs. But it seemed like in 3 straight jobs, I somehow got pulled into writing stuff for management. I was writing sales emails, training materials. I was doing communications for a district manager through email, stuff like that. And my wife said, this keeps coming up. You always said you wanted to write. Figure it out. And one day, I think I worked 80 hours at work and came home. I said, I can't keep doing this. And I opened the computer up. I don't even remember. That's why I say it's providential. I believe God said, hey, look, this is what you need to do. And one of the first things that I saw was John Carlton. I don't know if he was first, but he's one of the first, and instantly said, I think I can do this.
Legendary copywriter, by the way, John
Legendary.
Carlton. Yep.
Yeah. And interestingly, the store I was working at as a manager at the time, there was a public library right next door. Walk across the parking lot, and the public library had Bob Bly books and stuff like that. So I would skip lunch to go read these books and try to learn something. It happened almost accidentally. A lot of my career is like that. You can analyze good looking back, but I didn't know it was going to work the way it did. I just discovered it that way. I don't even know what I searched online, what I was searching for, how to make money from home, and something like that. And came across Carlton. And once you start reading John Carlton, you'll be reading for a while.
Do you remember your first gig that you ever got as a copywriter?
I remember the first paying gig. Yes. This is hilarious. I used to harass people on Craigslist. I did not know where to find writing jobs. Mm-hmm. I read someplace, there's a writing gigs section on Craigslist. You can go in there and see who's looking for copywriters. Okay, cool. So I would go in there and there's a guy in Dallas. He was in Texas someplace. I think it was Dallas. And he was writing. He wanted a sales page for his ebook on how to get your boyfriend back or something like that. I don't know if it was back or get the boyfriend of your dreams, one or the other. And I wrote an 8-page sales letter, which is weird. My first project was an 8-page sales letter.
How much was the book?
The book was $39.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like a $7 ebook. It was sales letter.
Yeah. And so I wrote the sales letter. I wrote a premium, a free bonus to go with the book based on notes that the guy had given me. The gig was for $25. And he paid me $30 because he said, you did a good job.
Okay. So to put this in perspective, right? For anyone listening right now, like how much copywriters are really worth, right? I mean, Donnie, what was the most you ever got paid from one gig? Like, whether it's royalties, like copywriters get paid on royalties, they get paid on, obscenely high upfront fees too, because they help make money. They help, they can really move the needle for the right company. So $25 for your first gig is ludicrous. Like, just set the gap here, like set the expectation for like what copywriters can really make.
Yeah. In a small example, I wrote a single sentence for $100. Not long after that, but I have projects that are 30, 50, 60. I think the biggest one I've ever done is $60,000. $60,000 for a project. So, I mean, between $25 and $65 and $60,000 is a pretty big gap.
Yep.
There's 12 years in between, though.
Right. But anyway, I just wanted to set that stage, like, oh, okay, cool. $25 for a copywriter. Like, no, like copywriters make really, really good money when you're good at it. Yep.
If the sales letter sold one book, he already made a profit on the thing. We used the copy for. I checked back. We fell out of touch. Like, he didn't need me anymore. I checked back. Get Romeo Now. That's what the website was. Get Romeo Now. It doesn't exist anymore. But I looked like 3 years later. He's still using my copy. So he got the deal of the century.
Hey, he gave you a 20% bonus though, right?
That's right.
25%, whatever that ends up being. But
yeah, I guess it's 1/5. Yeah, 20%.
All right. So, after you did that, like after you wrote that book, like, were you excited? Like, what was going through your mind? Were like, holy crap, like somebody actually paid me. Like, explain what was going through your mind at that point.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's like chum in the water for sharks. It's feeding frenzy. I said, I can make money doing this. It wasn't a lot. But when you see opportunity, that's what entrepreneurs do, right? You see opportunity, you say, this is a real thing.
Yep.
You read about stuffing envelopes. You remember that back in the day? You make money on the side by stuffing envelopes.
So my mom got into it. And when I don't remember how old we were, but and she asked us to help, of course. But yes, I do remember stuffing envelopes. Yep.
Yes. So, I mean, like you hear and you're like, there's no real money in that. But so copywriting, you don't know, like in your first getting started, you hear stories, oh, this person's making six figures and sitting on the beach, and doing a little
Mai Tais. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, is this a real thing? $25? Like, it is a real thing. And I'm brand new to this thing. There's opportunity here. And that really just supercharged my motivation and dedication to, figuring out how to make it into a real career. I hated retail. I mean, I was on a podcast earlier today and I was telling a story about how I just wasn't a good manager. I was in management, but I wasn't a good manager. I didn't know how to convince people to do their job right. I didn't know how to delegate properly. I would go behind people and do their jobs for them. And I was not good at it. But I didn't know, that's the best way I could make money at the time. So I really wanted to figure out how to replace that income but to be in an area of strength for me, because management was a weakness for me.
So how long from that point of your first $25 gig, $30 gig, did things really start to pick up in the copywriting space? What I'm really curious about is, when was that aha moment? Like, holy crap, like I can make well over a full-time income with this. Like, when was that point?
Shortly after that, I found another guy on Craigslist. That was what my day looked like. I work and I come home and spend an hour applying or harassing anybody who looked like a possible client on Craigslist. But I came across a guy, interestingly enough. Also, he ran a dating site, or he was subcontracted by a dating site, which also doesn't exist. I think eHarmony put them out of business. But they had sites for like every city in America. And they had a certain amount of copy they needed for all of them. So he said, you can write as much as you want. I'll pay you per page. Write as much as you want. So I'd work, come home and write and make, I don't know what it was, $100 a night. Just typing. It was mostly for SEO purposes. Filler, you got to have copy on these pages and you got to have there's some SEO considerations. It's like, literally, I don't care. Write as many as you want. There's 5,000 cities or whatever, and you need 6 pages and 7 pages or whatever. You can write as much as you want. So that's how I really got, okay, I can make as much money, literally as much money as I want. Just depending on how much time I can spend and how much work I can get done in that time. And I think that was 2009. So, that's when I said, okay, there's money out here. There's need out here and opportunity. So that's when I was like, okay, this is real. So I went from that and connected with that guy and some further things down the road. And I found another client from Craigslist who used to work for Microsoft and started a consulting firm. He was actually an amazing client. So Craigslist kind of like was there for me. I don't know if it still works like that, but I found quality clients. This guy actually didn't have a problem paying me. I remember one time he said, how much would you want for this thing? And I was like, $300. He said, now you're going to want more than that. Oh, how much should I ask for? And he paid me, I don't know, $750. So that was it. It was like right around that. Like I said, it was shortly after the $25 thing, maybe within 6 months, just going after it and started to figure out, okay, there's people out here who are willing to pay and there's a lot of opportunity. Because everything needs to be written. Everything.
Yeah.
It's product description on Amazon or your webinar script or your captions on Instagram. Even there's people making money doing that. The opportunity is getting bigger by the day, but I just discovered it around that time.
Yeah. Content is king. Content is king, and especially converting content.
Yes.
It's worth a lot of money because a lot of people don't like to write. There's a huge void. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to write. And so if you got that skill, there's definitely money to be made.
There's people who don't want to write, but there's people who feel like they can't write well, which may or may not be true, but in their own mind, it's like, I don't write well. And then there's people who it's not the best use of their time. Like, I could write, they'll do a great job. It's like, I make more money if I'm doing this other thing over here. I'm running my business. I don't have time to write. So, there's opportunity even for people who do know how to write. They probably need to bring on somebody, and they need to bring additional people in because they need content. They need deliverables. They need to deliver for whatever the heck they're doing. So, there's everything out there. And the one thing also that I found, even places where, like, we'll talk about it later, but what my biggest break in my career came from another writer because I gave him a chance to take a week off. He's like a world-class writer. And I was a beginner, but I said, hey, you gave me the week off. And it opened a lot of doors for me. So, I mean, the opportunity is even bigger than you probably think. Not just people who can't write, people who have better things to do with their time.
Yep. So you went in all sorts of different niches, right? Because I think there's a really interesting angle that we can talk about here, meaning the skill set is one piece of your opportunity that, can give you X, potential of earnings, right? And maybe you'll agree or disagree with this, but this is just my personal belief because I've experienced this a couple of times. You initially started out as a generalist, right? When you were learning this, writing for kind of anyone who would pay you. And if I'm just putting words in your mouth, please correct me. But I'm interpreting it and reading through the lines here. But you're taking your first gigs and trying to figure out, what is your, what your superpower is. But what I've discovered is like there are certain niches the opportunity is a lot bigger for you and for the clients. The value is bigger for the client. I'm assuming that's when you discovered the financial space, like the financial service or the financial industry, right?
Yes.
Talk about like how you discovered that and like where, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to kind of go down that route.
Yeah. that's really a great point. Well, and an example that I often give is, and this is like super basic, but the people who work at Sam's Club, I don't know, they make $10 an hour. The people who work at Costco make $15, $16 an hour for the exact same job in the exact same industry, the exact same everything, except probably Costco's a little bit nicer. They actually make 50% better money doing the exact same thing because Costco, I don't know if Costco's got better, higher prices or what. I don't know the reasoning is, but you can do the same thing, but for a different person and get 50. I mean, just that is 50% more. I think in copywriting and in a lot of places, the leverage point's so much higher that you can get 10 times more money in one place versus another place. For example, like the guy I mentioned, my first client, he's selling a $39 ebook. He didn't have an upsell that I know of. I didn't sell it. It doesn't really make sense. And what if his email list is 100 people? Mm-hmm. The most money he can make from these people is $39, $100. It won't make sense for him to pay me $5,000. It just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
On the other hand, you'll find somebody who's selling a $2,000 product. They automatically have built-in margin. I mean, if it's not like they're selling you a snowmobile or something. It's, digital product or consulting or high-ticket items. The margin is there for them to pay you. If they have a bigger list, the opportunity. It's like it costs more to not do well with a 100,000 or 200,000, 500,000 person list and $2,000 products. They have an entire funnel where you got the front end, which is $50, and the upsell, which is $200, and then the premium, which is $2,000, $5,000. They can't afford not to maximize that. So there's industries, and there's also people within industries who are levels higher. That's actually how this shift happens. You can do just finding out where it makes sense for those people to spend money, to invest money on good copy. And I mean, most of us start someplace where it's like easy, lower barrier of entry, because these people they can't afford to pay $10,000 for a project. So we kind of start there, but then you see, okay, it doesn't even make sense for them to pay me more. No matter how much I want to make, they can't pay it to me because they don't have it, and it doesn't make sense for them. But then you find people where it's like, okay, they have the budget for it, they have the opportunity there for them to make $1 million or $10 million or $100 million, and it makes sense for them to hire the best. So that's the shift. Yeah, I mean, there's alternative health is like that, and definitely financial publishing is like that. When you find people who are doing big launches online, these people, you work with these people, You're going to bring in 7 figures. They're not asking around for the cheapest copywriter. What you want to do is say, because a 10% increase is the difference between, a $2 million, $2.2 million, it's a $200,000 difference on a little piece of, a little increase, 10% increase. Or you can increase at a couple of different places and it gets exponential. So, I mean, that by itself, I got $200,000 in the budget for this guy. Yep. And so launch copywriters often do charge that. It's $150,000 to bring them on board plus a percentage of the royalties. So, though it's just about finding a place where the money is and where the mindset is. It makes sense for me to maximize the opportunity rather than cut costs on the marketing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a pivot that allows you to make these huge shifts with your results when you just change your focus on the who, meaning, okay, great. Somebody who's got a $40 offer, your income potential with that project is going to be limited because they just can't afford it, versus somebody who's got a higher ticket offer with bigger margins. And the other opportunity that I've found, because we've done a lot of cold traffic marketing, is if I can find clients that have an existing audience and not worry about cold traffic, again, the opportunity is bigger because number one, they know, like, and trust them already. It's easier to get that conversion. And number two, they've already got a marketplace and it doesn't cost them any additional money in ad spend. Like, those are two big shifts that we've made inside of our own copywriting business, inside of the webinar agency, and who we're trying to target. And those two shifts made a world of difference in just satisfied clients, us being satisfied with the project, and just earning potential. I think it's a huge, huge discovery.
I mean, an audience and or platform is an asset, and you might as well get everything you can out of that asset. Let me give you an example. My favorite project ever, which is still like small fries, but I had a client who turned into my best friend, believe it or not. He had a Facebook following, very engaged. This is years ago, back when that actually mattered. 500,000 people on Facebook and 20,000 people on his email list, something like that. And he could not figure out how to sell his products. Like, he spent years building this audience, and he tried several times to monetize and couldn't, and almost was to the point of giving up. Like, I can't make money from this, no matter how big the audience is. And we worked together, and we were selling. It was a cheap product. We were selling something for like $10, but we made $10,000 in one day. For him, that was like, it was amazing, because up until that point, he hadn't made anything. I remember he sent me a text, and it was an email at 10:30 something. He's like, we made 9,000, such and such. It's been a great day. And then he sent me another email. He said, we passed 10,000. I'm going to bed now. But it was, for me, it was really gratifying, because it took the platform that you have this platform, you're delivering value, you've got the trust, but you can't figure quite how to turn it over into paying customers. And at some point it becomes even harder, because they've been getting free stuff for 5 years. Like, why do you want me to pay now?
Yep.
So that's a tip for you. If you think you got to spend a long time building trust before you ask for money, that doesn't always work that way. Matter of fact, you're probably sacrificing a lot of money by doing that.
Yep, 100%. I hope people are listening to that, because that's what we preach. That's exactly what we preach. We always make an offer first before anybody engages with joins our list. Because we want them to, that's the secret of direct response. You want them to be responsive and not responsive to your free stuff. So anyway.
And he got that the same thing. Or a lot of people are, why should I have to pay for this? But we found enough people who he was able to quit his job and focus on his business. Based on that, he did the hard work. He built the platform, he got the trust, he got engagement and maintained it, but he just couldn't figure out how to turn that platform into cash. So I was able to help him do that. And that's why the most gratifying project I've ever worked on, even though I made very little money on it. But like I said, he became my best friend, and we.
Of course, you made him $10,000 in a day. You'd be my best friend too if I didn't make anything from that list.
Yeah. So it was great. But that's what I'm saying. If you can have a platform and not make as much money as you can off it, and we probably should have made a lot more money off of that list. But at the time, that's how it worked out. And a lot of people have platforms, they can't figure out how to monetize. So that's a huge pivot if you can go to somebody who has that platform. Say, look, you have an asset that you're just underutilizing. You have a mansion over there, and you're charging $200 a month for rent. Just find someone who's willing to pay $5,000 a month to rent the thing, and you can do that. Somebody's willing to pay that. You just got to go find them. The who, like you said, it's the who.
Yep. I love it, man. So when, I don't think we ever really covered this, but when did you discover the financial space? When did you find, because that's a big market. The financial industry is a huge market.
Yeah.
So when did you discover that?
It's funny. I remember reading the copywriters who make the most money are financial copywriters. And I said, I don't know how the stock market works. And I don't really want to do that. And then there's regulations and things you can't say, and I don't want to go to jail. So I'm going to avoid that. And I got into a conversation with a copywriter who's very successful. He's making, I think he said it was $200,000 without trying. He said, I'm not even trying to make $200,000. He said, what are you focused on? I said, this is when I was like, I'm trying to work with consultants. He said, nah, don't do it. Get into health or get into financial, because that's where the money is. I said, I don't want to do that. I'm not that bright. And I was working on something totally unrelated, and I got a client coming in and asked me to help him with his Forex, currency trading program. And he paid me a lot of money, a lot. I said, okay, that's cool, but it still didn't convince me. I went back to trying to do whatever I was doing, and somebody else came with a preparedness. It was like end of America style thing.
Yeah.
There's a big crash coming.
Survival
you got prepared.
Yep.
Yeah. But with a financial twist to it. And then it's like, he paid me a decent amount of money, and it was a lot of fun. And I said, maybe there's something to this. I haven't tried to focus on it. That must have been 2008. Yeah, it was after the crash. So it must have been 2009, something like that. And then, dude, if you think what happened in 2008 was bad, you wait till it never happened. Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of when it happened. This clients kept coming, and then I think it was about 2012 when I finally just said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just gonna, I keep getting these clients accidentally, and I haven't gone to jail for saying anything illegal. Most of these clients have their own compliance or legal departments to make sure that doesn't happen, because they don't want to go to jail either. And so it just happened. Like I said, it almost felt like destiny, because I did not do it on purpose. In fact, like I said early on, I said, I'm staying away from that. I don't want to get involved. But so around 2011, 2012, I've done all kinds of stuff in financial, life insurance and annuities, and like I said, Forex, investing, stock market investing, options, working with registered investment advisors, CPAs and stuff like that. So on both sides of the service providing, and then publishing. So, publishing is a wildly different world than CPAs, as you can imagine. But CPAs don't know how to market for the most part, and they don't want to. That's not why they got in business. So the opportunity for them is, to hand off something that they don't want to do and have it done in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're salespeople, because they don't want to feel that way. and it's been a lot of fun. So like I said, it's been about 6 years now. What is it, 2019? Yeah, so must have been maybe 2013 when I came in. It has been 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a big opportunity. It's such a big niche. I mean, even before we hopped on our interview today, I told you I was working on my own, not personally, but a client's financial webinar. And it's I kind of have a similar story. Like a lot of them were accidental, meaning like they just kept coming to me and like, oh, okay. And there's endless audiences for them to market to. Like that's one of the biggest things. And with coaches and consultants, that's a finite. I mean, there's people there, but it's finite versus, the investing space. You can go to list brokers and be like, here's X number of dollars, like send me leads. And easy to get them. It's easy to get the audience, which is why it's such a big potential.
There's some consultants make plenty of money, but most don't.
Mm-hmm.
They really are not in a place where they can spend 5 figures on copywriting or whatever. So it's, but everybody needs money. As you're beginning to get to the age of thinking about maybe I want to retire one day, everybody's thinking about what's the responsible thing to do. I got to invest it. So it's an endless market because everyone has something to do with money, and people are willing to spend money. It's already in your mind. Mm-hmm. I need to spend money. My money has to go someplace.
Yep.
So let me put it someplace where I'll get a greater return. So you find when you think about rich people, like think about the movie Wolf of Wall Street or something, because the money is there. It's already there. You just, now you're helping those individuals who can help people, do good things with their money. You're helping them reach the people who they can help. So the opportunity is almost limitless. And there's billions of dollars coming in to the people who are publishing these newsletters. Yep. It's in the B billions.
Yeah. Agora is the financial juggernaut of that space. And they're just pitching all the time. All the time. And it's a big opportunity, and the market's endless. There's always people coming into it. They'll never become exhausted.
Right.
So what would you say for somebody right now who is like considering possibly exploring the copywriting space? Like, what would be your advice for them as they're in that explore? So they probably haven't landed their first client yet, but like, okay, well, this is interesting. I like writing. Still don't really know how to find clients. Don't really know where to get started. Like, what would you give them for advice?
That's like the struggle, right? I mean, it's not just for copywriters, for almost anybody who's going out on their own, unless you come from a corporate background and bring clients with you. Like, how do I get people to hire me? But for copywriters, I would say one thing. I can say a couple things. First of all, you like writing, but it's almost more about selling than writing. You have to use the writing to do it, but your mindset has to be that of how do I persuade these people to take action on the thing that I need them to do. So if you like selling, you're in a good position. If you like journalistic writing or creative, poetic writing, you'll need a mindset shift to do this. So it's not just about writing. It's really about selling and convincing people. We don't like changing people's minds. We don't really change their minds. We kind of like shift it a tiny bit to do the thing that we want them to do. But we don't usually try to convince vegans to eat steak. That's a bad idea. It's an expensive idea. But we're not convincing lumberjacks to buy pantyhose. Although I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it's a harder sell. So you need to focus on being able to sell. Then the second thing is you need to realize, again, this is true beyond copywriting, but you need to realize that you're going to have to spend half of your time marketing yourself, not just learning how to write and not just actually writing. You have to promote yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting clients. How do you get clients? I mean, I guess we got to talk about that separately, but just know that you're in your mindset, no matter how big the opportunity is, and it is, though clients will not just fall in your lap. And even putting, I'm a copywriter on your LinkedIn profile or on your Facebook page is not going to automatically make people hire you. You have to create a value proposition and then get it in front of people with the potential to hire you. So that's like the start. But you also do have to get good. So, I mean, there's a lot of resources out there. A lot of people go to AWAI, American Writers and Artists Institute or something like that. They have a ton of copywriting programs like that everybody respects. But there's a lot of other people. I love Carlton. Like I said, I love Clayton Makepeace. Love that guy. So you can find some of his stuff. It's higher priced, but you can find some of his stuff out there. But there's a lot of free stuff also. Just don't spend all your time reading. And you do have to actually spend time writing, not just reading, because as much as you think it's helping, I mean, it is helping. But if you never actually spend time with your fingers on the keyboard or your pen, like I got a pen, I like to write by hand, actually writing and actually getting your copy in front of people to see how it works.
Yep.
You're not doing anything yet. It's still a hobby until you do that. So I think, like we've talked about, the opportunity is there. If you're interested in it and you're comfortable selling to other people and selling yourself, it's an opportunity you should try. I also think, and I could be wrong about this, but most of the copywriters I know don't make real money in the first year. They're going to sell you that. Actually, I know one guy, I think he made $160,000 in his first year. I probably know two people who made six figures in their first year, but most people don't, because you got to learn the craft and you got to get clients and you got to build some renown so you don't have to spend all your time doing it. So anyway, I would say, make sure you know how to sell, or you're willing to learn how to sell yourself and then sell through your writing. Yep. I don't know if that answered the question the way you intended it.
Well, you have a couple of good resources to go check out, and like exploring that copywriting field. AWA is probably the best resource because they've got, I think, the most like beginner courses.
Yeah.
Or least expensive. At least just dip your toe in the water. Right.
Yeah.
But this is a very, very leveraged opportunity for the right people who really want to transform a skill that they have. There's lots of starving artists out there, starving writers, and they love writing, but they have a hard time really making ends meet because they're probably targeting the wrong market. They're probably targeting a broke market of people who can't pay more than $30 for an 8-page sales letter, or blogs, or however much people are. I hired one copywriter the other day, or a blog writer. She was charging me, I don't know, $40 for like 1,500 words. I'm like, done. Like, keep going. It's just, it's a shame because a lot of people don't really understand the value of what they bring to the table. And I think that's also a mindset thing that you have to understand. But
you're 100% correct about that. 100% correct. Where can I hire this person?
Yep.
I have a small group of copywriters I'm trying to help mentor. Not that I'm a great mentor, but I mean, I get to tell you all the things that I've done wrong and try and share. And that's one of the things we talked about this week, was knowing that the value that you provide allows you to charge more than you probably think that you should. And it's not about, I can make $10 an hour, or I can make $50 an hour, which to an average employee says $50 an hour is pretty good.
Yep.
But it's not that. If you can help somebody like yourself, what is the blog post worth for you? I mean, it's worth more than $40. It's probably 10 times that, right? Or maybe more. And they need to figure out how much value they're providing and then ask for it. Yep. And it's more than they think. It might be more than they're comfortable asking. It took me a long time to start asking for what, even when I knew what it was worth, or thought that I knew, I still didn't have the intestinal fortitude to put the word on my mouth. I want $2,000 for that. I want $7,000 for that. But then once you do, and you find those people who, because there are people still, they don't want to do it. But you find the people who know it doesn't even make sense to quibble over this. It changes your life. I had a conversation, this must have been 2 years ago. It was the same thing. A person who I wanted to work for. I didn't let him know that. And then it's like, well, we need advertorials. I said, okay, well, advertorials for me is, in the particular thing that you wanted. I don't remember if I asked for $1,000 or something like that, which is actually a pretty good price. What? 1,000? I was thinking more like 150. I said, well, no. But he said, well, how? What if I told you that there are people with more experience than you who are charging half what you charge? I mean, I believe that. There's always somebody who's cheaper. There's always somebody who's willing to undercut themselves to get some cash flow. But I told him, for some people, some people drive Chevrolets, right? Some people drive BMW. Some people drive Rolls Royces. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with the person driving the Chevrolet. It makes sense for that person. There's nothing wrong with the person driving the BMW. It makes sense for that person. There's nothing wrong with the person with the Rolls Royce. It makes sense for that person. I just happen to be a Rolls Royce in this case. Maybe I'm the BMW. And if you're looking for a Chevrolet, that's cool. It's just not me.
Yep.
And I actually drive a Chevrolet. I have no problem with that. But that's just not me. So if this opportunity isn't, for the amount of value you're getting from it, maybe it doesn't make sense for you to pay $1,000 for this advertorial. If that doesn't make sense, that's cool. I'm not the guy for you.
Yep.
So he was almost offended by and you haven't. First of all, it's not like I'm new to the game.
Yeah.
But people with more experience, what does experience has to do with anything? The value that you're going to get and
the result. Yeah, it's all about the result and what you know it's worth. So, and
you're not going to have to worry about it. You call me, you ask for the job is going to be done. It's going to be done well. You never have to think about it again. The amount of time that you save, the amount of stresses you don't have, that all gets built into the price. So, but it's about the mentality. I think of myself as Rolls Royce, maybe not Rolls Royce, but I'm probably a Bentley Continental. And that's me. But there's nothing wrong with people who are at the, the BMW level or the people at the Chevrolet level. There's nothing wrong with the people. We're all getting where we're going. But then it makes sense. People for whom it makes sense to go get a Bentley, they call a Bentley copywriter. And people who it doesn't, people with a $39 ebook and nothing else, it doesn't make sense. They want the guy with the unicycle, and that's fine.
You just got that's all about client selection too, and knowing where to find endless leads. Because that's where people really start to undercut themselves when they don't have the lead flow coming in. Because you can't change that person's mind. Very, very rarely are you going to be able to change that person's mind and paying you $1,000 when he's already looking at people at 150. Like the gap's too big there. He's not in the right frame of mind, and that's totally fine. But people who are undercutting themselves don't have the lead flow coming in, and that's a whole other conversation. But Donnie, man, I've loved this conversation. You're just talking about the life of a copywriter and the life of valuing your skills and providing leverage for what you truly bring to the table. The world of copywriting is endless. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of opportunities for people out there. And, we discussed a lot. We discussed how you got started. We discussed, the value proposition of when you first got started making $30 or $25 for your first 8-page sales letter, which if you were writing an 8-page sales letter today, I'm sure that's worth 5 figures at least for that service. But
I probably wouldn't even sell that. There's got to be much more involved in the project.
Yep. I've enjoyed our conversation. I've enjoyed this journey of just showing people the world of copywriting. It's a fantastic opportunity because people really need it. Business owners need it and experts need it. We talk about, finding the right who and making sure that their who is also highly leveraged, because when you can get into that world, that's when you start seeing massive results and the paychecks become bigger and you get, much bigger credibility under your belt because you're promoting to a larger audience. Donnie, where can people reach out and connect with you?
Hard to connect with, but you can go to my website, which I haven't updated in a while. But it's at Donnie-Bryant.com. I have a Facebook group called the Email Copywriting Corner. I'm not in there a ton because that's not a great way to leverage my time, but I try to go in there and add value. And actually, there's 3 years worth of really good stuff. Sharing swipe files you can steal. Every month we do subject line, top subject lines that you should, and kind of break down attention getting tactics that you can take away from them. And actually, sometimes people are offering gigs in there. Actually, there's right now, a guy just posted 2 different jobs. So, there's that sort of thing. I'm in that group. I go in there a couple times a week. Most days I'm in there at least briefly. So, there's that. So those would be the 2 things. I don't have anything. I really don't have anything else going on these days. I stopped emailing my own list. I shifted to a different thing and never shifted back. So I've been neglecting that. So I guess, one of those 2 things, Donnie-Bryant.com, which I need to start working on again. And then on Facebook, you can be friends if you like. I don't do anything except in the group, though, the Email Copywriting Corner, which if you put in email copywriting, I think it's the first thing that pops.
Awesome. We'll make sure we include links to that in the show notes. Donnie, it's been a pleasure connecting with you, man. Thanks for hopping on the show. And if you're listening right now, go connect with Donnie. Let him know you heard him on the show Experts Unleashed, and give him some love. Start to stalk him a little bit. Find his old website. He's doing a terrible job of selling himself, so I have to sell him for him. But go check out his website. Fantastic guy, and really knows his stuff. Donnie, thanks a bunch, man. And for everyone else, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Experts Unleashed. If you're looking for new and innovative ways to design and execute your plan to become a 6 or 7-figure expert without the massive team, apply now. at theperfectexpert.com.